BBIG stock continues to run. Let's talk about where I think this stock could be headed very soon and a very interesting piece of news that I think we need to talk about. Make sure to watch to the very end of this video so you don't miss any of my BBIG stock analysis. And if you guys want to pick up a free stock with Public, check out our link down in the description below. It's a great social investing network that you can join up and follow some of your friends, family members, or even other famous investors that you might know and see what they're buying, what they're selling, and of course, everybody's thoughts on the current market situation. But other than that, guys, let's get right into this video. Alrighty guys, here we are with Vinco Ventures. As you can see here, we're sitting at about $11.35 per share, up just about 4.90% on the day, up just 53 cents really relative to the past previous days. If we look back about a week, as you can see here, Vinco has been on a pretty nasty looking uptrend, nasty in a good way of course, and they have been just absolutely killing it here. They had a little bit of a pullback here on September 9th, but then have managed pretty much to kind of consolidate and push further. Now on September 10th are doing still pretty well. And a lot of this has to do with the recent announcement of their big, obviously, NFT platform that they are going to be pushing into. It's one of their big new ventures that they are kind of seeking out and seeing what's going to happen with it, if they can really get some, if they can get their foot in the door and really kind of change and shake up the industry, hopefully. But really, guys, I'm actually pretty bullish long-term on Vinco Ventures' overall fundamental standards and practices. But what I want to read here today is this interesting news article that I found, and it's basically BBIG Stock, 7 things to know about the latest report from Red Hot Vinco Ventures. So this is going to give just a kind of brief overview of a lot of different information that Vinco has been kind of publishing out recently, just some different kind of metrics and just pretty much just different things that are going on with the company. So let's read a little bit deeper into it, and I can give you guys my thoughts obviously on it and see what we can find. One of the best performing stocks over the past 3 weeks has been Vinco Ventures. Indeed, since hitting a low of $2.16 per share on August 19th, shares of BBIG stock have skyrocketed to more than $11 per share at the time of writing this impressive investor interest. Vinco Ventures' recent rise appears to be the result of a number of factors. First on the list for many investors is the short squeeze potential of the BBIG stock. Now, this actually is something that obviously everybody has been looking at. We can go and look up the BBIG short interest here really quick, just to pull up just kind of a quick number here on Fintel. Let's see if we can find it here. It might be a little bit, here we go, short borrow rate. This is 143.37%, right? And then we have, I believe there's another metric that says somewhere around the 20s to 30s range as far as just overall short interest. But yeah, this stock is heavily shorted, right? And there's a lot of people who are like, this stock, we want it in the garbage can, right? And because of that, of course, retail investors alike on Reddit, different forums, different social media platforms were like, hey, if we buy this stock and the shorts obviously are going to get squeezed, it's going to be the same thing with GameStop, AMC, any of these other kind of meme related stocks, right, where they might push up because of the buying interest goes so high. Again, that's kind of the short squeeze angle on it. Let's keep reading though. Indeed, Vinco Ventures remains one of the most shorted stocks in the market right now. Additionally, the company's borrow-free rate remains high. Investors banking on a parabolic spike appear to have been rewarded of late. However, whether this is simply the result of heavy buying rather than short covering remains to be seen. For now, it's clear that BBIG stock is one that investors are watching closely. Will this stock continue to squeeze, or will the momentum dissipate with a whimper? Time will tell. For now, let's take a look at the latest developments capturing investor attention with respect to BBIG stock. So BBIG stock obviously recently had a proxy presentation, basically. Let's read a little bit about that. As you can see here, today Vinco Ventures announced a 2021 annual proxy along with a presentation. This presentation highlights plans for a big corporate spinoff. The spinoff will result in a new public company called Cryptide, trading under the symbol TYDE. This is huge. This is really big. This is basically a NFT platform, kind of a crypto platform. And not only that, it's going to be public. This is going to be a public company. Cryptide will be TYDE. And I have a huge feeling that we are going to be making lots of videos on that company, because as soon as that goes public, I guarantee you there's going to be lots of people who are very, very interested in that company and are going to want to put money into it. They're going to want to buy it. And of course, there might be some shorts, I'm sure, that will take positions on it. There's going to be all types of things. So I'm really looking forward to when that does happen, when that company does have its public offering. We will definitely be covering it here. Let's keep reading though. This venue reportedly launched the first ever album to go platinum on the blockchain. Very interesting. The preliminary proxy date is set for September September 8th, with the record date for the proxy being September 14th. Additionally, the mailing date for the proxy is about September 22nd and approximately 3 weeks before. So this is kind of some information about the proxy, just different kind of things. Is it too late to, oh wait, I forgot, Investor Place does that where they trick you into reading the rest of the article, like because it looks like the other parts of the article. But overall, this is what we're looking at here with BBIG. There hasn't been much news since the proxy was announced, but overall, like I showed in the beginning of the video, it is still running very good. Now, just so we can get a kind of a better understanding of where BBIG is at and where it could be going, let's go to TradingView. Here we are on TradingView. Let's take a look at some technical analysis. This is the 1 day, 1 minute chart. As you can see here, relatively still smooth sailing, going up in the upward direction. A little bit of volatility here at the open, but again, it's just kind of trading in this tight channel between about 1160 and 11 to 1090, you know, kind of in that area. And overall, it does look pretty strong on the 1 day, 1 minute chart. I wouldn't be surprised if the rest of the day it continues to push up, unless there's some unforeseen thing that happens in the market, right? There's been a lot of news recently that have crashed markets towards the end of the day, kind of in the mid-afternoon. You know, we've had just different things with the government, different things with job reports, stuff like that, that has really shaken up the market a bit. So be aware of that, guys. If you have contracts with, you know, options on this type of stock, obviously volatility can be a good thing if it moves towards the upside, but if you have calls, not so much maybe, right? So just be careful, obviously manage your risk, manage your position, you know, and don't be afraid to, you know, take profits if you have them, right? You don't want the market to take them back. But let's plot a little bit wider here to a larger time frame. This is what we've seen. This is a crazy chart, by the way, just to look at it in the first place. This is a crazy chart that we've seen over the last, when did this start? Around like the beginning of August. August 26th, we saw the first initial run up, right? This was a run up that lasted only about a day and into after hours, all the way up to $7.63. Open the next day, consolidated a little bit, pulled back here, and then continued to upward trend, right? Continued to move into the upward direction. And then since then, it has been doing that. Now, you could argue we're starting to form a rising wedge here, right? The rising wedge is slowly beginning to form, and it's almost getting to the point where it might be reaching its peak. So that is kind of the termination point of whether something needs to happen, right? It either needs to break up to the upside or pattern fail and break down to the downside, right? We will have to see. But ideally with a rising wedge, typically what happens is it breaks towards the upside. Keeping that in mind, that does not guarantee that this stock is going to push further. Again, if we look at the RSI is approaching levels of being super overbought. When that happens, typically a pullback is in order, as you can see here, when the RSI, you know, peaked well above over the 70, what is it, the 70 range, and then obviously pulled back a little bit and then continued to run. And even after that, the RSI continued to kind of push lower here. Overall, the reason I like to use the RSI so much, I should explain this a little bit, is that because I love using it to kind of plan out my entry points into certain stocks. I think that overall it's relatively accurate in the short to near term and even the long term. It really shows when stocks are just overbought and you might be buying something that's a little bit overvalued. But to end this whole video off, let's get into my price prediction. I think that overall, Vinco Ventures, if the news continues to come out in a positive manner about the stock, if retail interest, and as long as volume does not fade. If volume starts to fade on this stock, I will get a little bit worried. But I think that overall, I could see Vinco Ventures maybe consolidating now because we had that last run up to about $11. I could see a consolidation here around the $11 to $12 range before we push to higher price ranges into the 13, 14, 15, maybe even the 20s. If there's a large break in resistance all of a sudden, I could see us going to the 20s. But again, keeping in mind, there needs to be a lot of volume. There needs to be probably a catalyst. There needs to be some type of piece of news that will launch the stock further into the eyes of the people, right? Because right now there's just not a lot of news coming out about it. That's why we're kind of consolidating and kind of clamping together. But as long as retail volume and just overall trading volume stays high, a good piece of news comes out, and just overall the fundamentals remain the same. I think that the stock could be on a pretty nasty uptrend here relatively soon. But again, that's not financial advice. I'm not telling you guys to invest in the stock. You need to do your own research always on these stocks and figure out what is good for your own risk tolerance and your own just opinion about whatever stock you're buying, guys. You have to be aware of that. But other than that, guys, that is pretty much it today for BBIG. Make sure to like the video, subscribe if you're new, hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video like this. If you guys want to pick up a free stock with Public, check out our link down in the description below. But other than that, guys, that is all I have for you guys today. I'm Kyle with Finance Bro. Take it easy.